coming. Look, the father knew he had made a mistake. He said instantly, he said, look, he said, Lord, I do believe. He said, but help me not to doubt. And notice something now. Jesus didn't wait for the crowd. That's where the disciples messed up. The disciples were in the crowd and were trying to show off for the crowd. Please the crowd so they can pump themselves up and say what they had done. And you notice something Jesus already says, when you get in front of him and exalt yourself and you try to do something, it's not going to work. But when you put God first and say, Lord, I'm your instrument, then all of a sudden things start to happen. Look at what Jesus said. It said, when Jesus saw the crowd of onlookers was growing and they were getting ready to run to see what Jesus was going to do, it said immediately Jesus rebuked the evil spirit and said, spirit of deafness and muteness, I command you to come out of this child. But look, see, that's the thing. You notice he didn't just leave it there. We'll ask the Lord for something. Lord, will you help me? But then we'll just stop. Look what Jesus said. He said, come out of the child. He said, and never enter into him again. He said, in other words, look, this is not your house. You don't belong here. Get out and never come back again. He's saying another one, when Jesus does something, he does it right. He don't half step. He finishes whatever he does. What was Jesus telling them? By doing this, he was letting them know what he had already said and written in Zechariah back in the Old Testament. He was letting them know, not by might, not by power, but by my spirit. Jesus had to show his disciples that you got to go in your closet and have a talk with the Lord. And in any situation, don't just ask the Lord to help you out there, but say, Lord, guide me in all things. Understand something. Why does Jesus instruct us to go into our closet? Now, if Jesus told us to go into the closet, and those old folks knew that they were supposed to go in the closet, can't we who's educated people, as we say, we educated now, shouldn't we have a sense to know whenever the situation, regardless of what it is, we need to go into the closet and be a closet case? Why did Jesus tell us this? Well, let's delve into what the word closet means. When you look at that word closet, in the context that Jesus uses it, we understand why he said, when you pray, go into your closet. We understand why he said, this kind of case can only be dealt with by prayer, by going into your closet and taking it to the Lord. Closet in the context that Jesus used it, the first thing it means a dispenser or a distributor. A dispenser is a container or a machine. You know what it is, those big candy machines, vending machines, Coke machines. Y'all know what it's like. You go up to it, put your dollar, your quarter into it, and they got the buttons. You select which one you want. Whether you want a Coke or a Pepsi. Whether you want a Diet Coke or Sprite. Whether you want some water. And you put your money in and you hit the button and it gives you what you asked for. Talks about the fact that the child of God goes into the closet, goes into his or her dispenser, and when he goes into that dispenser, they go up to it, and on it they find these things. They find joy, they find love, they find peace, they find goodness, and they press the button, and God lets all of those things come out for them. a distributor. I know Deacon Young, and Reverend Young, and Minister Moore, and Brother Green know something about this one. A distributor is a device that applies electric current in proper sequence to the spark plugs of the engine. You know something about that? Whenever the distributor cap has a crack in it, or some water gets into it, the car starts to miss it. The engine won't run right. You can change the spark plug wire, but as long as that distributor ain't right. That car gonna sputter. It's gonna backfire. In some cases, it'll turn over. You hear, but it will never stop. But when you got the right distributor, when there's no cracks in the cap, when everything is firing, when everything is shooting out and giving the current the way it's supposed to. Or you can get in that car, not even have to sit in it, just turn the ignition on and it starts on the first try. When the distributor is working right and you check them spark plugs, check the gaps to make sure the gaps are right, you can pull it off and see it's firing the way it's supposed to fire. Jesus is saying when you go into your closet, you're going into your distributor, you're hooking up to your distributor. Once you hook up to the distributor, you get a spark of long suffering, spark of gentleness, faith, meekness, and temperance. He give you what you need so that your engine can keep moving on and on and on. The other thing about a closet is also a dispensary and a magazine. A dispensary is an office in an institution such as a hospital or a school from which medical supplies and preparations are dispensed. When you go into your closet, you're going into your dispensary. And you know what it's like whenever you go in there and say, well, if I got a headache, I can go in there and give me some Tylenol. And my headache are going away. I remember when I was a young boy, when we would go to New Orleans to Pontchartrain Beach sometimes, and my daddy never would take the aspirin with him. He always would have him a pack of stand back or a pack of goodies. And I used to wonder because it used to be in that little file paper that looks like you would wrap it up in. And it looked like a little sawdust powder. And I remember one day I said, Dad, I got a headache. And he said, well, hold on, let me get it. He said, but I don't have no aspirin. He said, look, I got something, I'll give it to you, and it's going to knock that headache out real quick. So he reached into his top pocket, and he went into that little pack that said, stand back. And he flopped the file and opened. He said, look, hold out your tongue. I held out my tongue, and he put the stand back on my tongue, and he said, all you got to do is swallow it. That's the thing about stand back. Didn't need water, but you can take it. Took the stand back, and he said, look, just take a little water because it might be a little strong for you, so take your little water to go with it, and I guarantee you it wasn't long, the headache was gone. God is saying whenever you go into your closet, into your dispensary, the born believer dispensary is a divine pharmacy filled with the anointing oil, the palm of Gilead, and the holy honey that makes everything all right. The other thing he said that the closet is also a magazine. Now somebody may think a magazine, you talk about the book that you read that you find at the doctor's office. Or the book that you read while you're waiting on your car to get repaired or fixed on. But the magazine that Jesus was talking about is a place for storage of ammunition. You see, back in the old days, you could even go downtown. They got a place that is an all brick building. And the magazine was the place where they kept the cannonballs and the black powder and the bullets and the grenades and all the things that the soldiers used for battle. And whenever they needed something to fight with, when you went to the fort, they always had a magazine room. And that magazine room was generally the most restricted and protected place in the fort because they knew if somebody shot an arrow, if somebody shot a gun, or if something hit it, it would blow everything up, including the fort and everything around it. But here Jesus is saying, when you go into your closet, you're going into your magazine. You're a soldier of God, and there you can reload on your adoption, reload on your manifestation and mercy, reload on your unction and nourishment, reload on your instruction and trust, inspiration, ovation, which ovation ain't nothing but praise. When you go into your magazine, you can reload on your newness. Remember, he said, the old man is cast away. That's why Jeremiah said, I remember the bitterness and the gall, but then this I recall to my mind, that his mercies are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. That's why David said, create in me a clean heart and renew in me the right spirit. He had went into his magazine because he needed to reload, because he had been in a battle and he had been worn down. But once you get into your magazine, you know how it is? The more westerns, when they would run out in a 6-shooter, and they always would have a buddy that would say, look, I got a rifle, and he'd throw the rifle over to him. And he'd come out and say, look, we got him now. Used to be like that on the Cartwrights and all of those things. Little Joe would be in trouble. Hoss would be in trouble. Adam would be in trouble. But Daddy Cartwright would always have some extra firepower. Son would be in trouble. And he would say, son, what I need you to do, Hoss, throw some interference. He said, little Joe, I'm going to throw the rifle to you. I'm going to toss it to you, but just grab it and keep on coming. Your closet is your magazine. The final fact about the closet in the context that Jesus used it said that a closet is a storehouse. And a storehouse is a building in which goods are stored. It's an abundant source and it's an abundant supply. Well, you say, well, what is a storehouse? Well, I know my dad, I know my uncle, I know Brother Green and my uncle, they know about this. Remember, they used to have those old smokehouses. And in that smokehouse, they say that where they would store all of the meat. And I remember my daddy telling me how sometimes him and his brother would go in sometimes. And the thing was, their daddy always knew if somebody had been on the meat. And they didn't know how daddy would know about it, but they say, well, look, let's go in the smokehouse and give us a piece of that meat so we can eat off of it. But here Jesus is saying your closet is your storehouse, it's your smokehouse. It's the place where you can go in and find your sausage, find your meat, find everything that you need, and never have to worry about running out. That's why those old saints would always talk about going into their closet, because they know when they went into the closet, there they would find their strength. There they would get their trip ticket. And I used to wonder about that. There was old folks used to say, I got my ticket. I said, why they say they got their ticket? I got my ticket. And then I remember now when I finally went to the bus station, the thing is you always would get your ticket, because you had to have your ticket in your hand. And when it was time for the bus to leave, or when it's time for the jet to leave, before you could get on board, the only way you can board the plane or the bus, you got to have your ticket in your hand. So that's why they say, well, I got to go to my closet so I can get my ticket. They say they would go to the closet, get their restoration. The reason why they knew so much, because they went into the closet and got their education. They knew in the closet was their help, their hope, their understanding, their sanctification, and their edification. They knew if I go into my closet, everything will be all right. So as we close, be a closet case. We say to